Holy cow, there's a lot of crazy, insane financial news happening right now. Unlike the speech, which is very relaxing. But as we're speaking right now, Mark Zuckerberg is testifying about Facebook's new cryptocurrency coin, Libra. We have astonishing news from major financial institutions. And of course, we're also experiencing a crypto crash. And to talk about that, plus a lot more, we have the one and only dollar vigilante, Jeff Berwick, who also has a new service that a lot of people are happy about, helping them not only understand what's going on in this crazy, turbulent financial world, but also be able to kind of weather the storm a little bit. I think that's a fair statement to say. But the reason I like talking to Jeff is he provides an aspect that I don't. I usually talk about the social aspect, the social unrest, and I kind of correlate it to the financial news that's happening about how there's top-down controls, there's the squeezing of the lemon that proverbially happens with just people getting screwed over economically by the bigger institutions. Jeff talks about the financial news, I talk about the social news, but it's all correlated. And Jeff definitely has a better understanding of the financial news. And holy cow, I mean, just some of the articles you sent me, just some of the articles that I'm seeing in the news, are just blowing my mind away. But let's stick with Mark Zuckerberg here, because I just saw him. He's testifying, and he's talking about the wonderful benefits of cryptocurrencies with his new Libra coin. He's talking about all the great things. He's talking about the transparency aspect. He's talking about being able to give microloans to individuals in third world countries. He's talking about empowering individuals, which cryptocurrencies do, but he's not talking about the bad things that cryptocurrencies, especially centralized, controlled, top-down cryptocurrencies do. You did a special video from Mark Zuckerberg. What do you think of this kind of latest reaction, this latest kind of testimony that Mark's giving right now to the US government?
Well, it's interesting, and I've said this from the start, and that I didn't know really how well this Libra thing would go. I was pretty surprised. When they first announced it was just a few months ago, and the very next day they put out a white paper on it, and pretty much within a week they had a beta running, and I was like, wow, they're moving fast on this. This is unbelievably fast. And I said, do they really have the approval of the people who control the governments and the central banks? Because any sort of alternative currency, when you're competing with the private banking cartel, they're the most dangerous cartel in the world. There's a number of dangerous cartels, OPEC and all that kind of stuff, but they are the most dangerous. They run most of this world. So I was like, do they even have the approval of these guys? Because it's going through so fast. And then as soon as they kind of announced it, Mark Zuckerberg gets called into Congress, which I laughed. I was like, okay, maybe they don't have the approval of these guys. And Congress was freaking out. There was actually one senator who said about a month or two ago that this cryptocurrencies in general could destroy their power. And he's right, that the main power of what people like Congress and the central banks have today is the control of the money system. And the big thing that I said is, either he's got approval to do this or he's not going to be able to do it, because the big problem with it is it's centralized. That's why things like Bitcoin have been doing very well for the last 10 years, is because you can't actually stop them. If there was a Bitcoin office, if there was a Bitcoin CEO like Mark Zuckerberg, they would be SWAT teamed, and the Bitcoin CEO would be in Guantanamo Bay right now. And the whole reason that Bitcoin is still doing well is because you can't actually shut it down unless you shut down the internet or the power. And those are things they actually think about. They talk about internet kill switches in Congress now. They're getting very concerned. This is incredibly interesting times. So I haven't seen exactly what Mark has said so far today, but I'm more interested in what Congress thinks about it, because they really can't lose control of this money system. If they do, and they've already said this, they lose all their power. And that's something really good. That's something all of us should want. But we'll see. It's very, very interesting.
Let's just walk over here, because I think there's a very huge hill over there. But one thing that is really interesting to see is these big financial institutions, especially these like big banksters, JP Morgan and Chase, and all these representatives of the government talking about how dangerous and reckless cryptocurrencies are. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve just printed more money than the market cap of Bitcoin. There's also another major banking institution in Europe that just announced that they're hoarding gold ready for the next financial crisis. I mean, how can they say that one institution is reckless and dangerous when the institution is the most reckless and the most craziest. How do you see these kind of latest announcements in regard to also the latest crypto crash that just happened? Because it's crazy what's happening out there.
Yeah, it is crazy. I've been doing the Dollar Vigilante, and every day there's like big things happening. We're nearing some sort of crisis here, and some sort of probably massive chaos and collapse. In terms of the current monetary system, it's all falling apart. You just pointed out the former Bank of England governor, Mervyn King, he calls himself Lord King, the King Lord, came out just a couple days ago speaking at the IMF saying that we're sleepwalking into financial Armageddon, and it's going to be far worse than 2008. And I totally agree with that. So they've got that on that one side where their whole system's falling apart anyway. And you mentioned how the government's... I think someone's playing some music up here. I don't know if you want to turn around.
Yeah, it's turning around a bit over here.
You mentioned how the governments say things like crypto's bad and Bitcoin's bad. Of course they do, because if people start using crypto, then their whole system is destroyed. And it's already on its way. They're already destroying it themselves. But crypto poses a huge threat. So just like everything, they try to make it look like it's dangerous. It's going to be used by criminals. Well, the biggest criminals are actually the central banking cartel. You just pointed out that the Federal Reserve just printed more money in the last month than the entire market cap of Bitcoin. They printed $210 billion in the last month, and that's just the beginning. Morgan Stanley has come out and said that this new QE, which is basically just counterfeiting of money, it's a very criminal thing. They are the criminals. They can't stop. This has to go on forever now because the system is so indebted and so leveraged that if the Federal Reserve stops printing massive amounts of money, the whole system collapses. And that's almost what happened in 2008, and that's about to happen again soon.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of complicated talk around all these subjects, but it's very simple. Crypto, just like anything, is a tool. It could be a hammer. It could be used to construct wonderful, amazing things, or it could be used to club people over the head. There's multiple uses of a hammer, but what ultimately determines it is a society. And in a society, a lot of people decide to play with these institutional rules, and these institutional rules are kind of dumb because they're pretty much just based on power. If you have enough power, you can get away with horrible things. Facebook and their kind of centralized coin that will, have a lot of negative implications is also a platform that has a lot of negative consequences. It's ultimately doing what Ross Ulbricht did with the Silk Road, but the reason Facebook doesn't get in trouble because people use Facebook for illicit purposes is because Facebook has been working with a lot of people within the government. And that's why it's interesting to see this kind of public fight that's unfolding right now, all on the head of crypto crashing. Again, we've been seeing an extremely volatile crypto market, and I wanted to kind of get your take on it because, I mean, you have specific services where you help people understand crypto, help people understand the movements. What are you understanding from this latest kind of downturn? And, how do you traverse this kind of crazy landscape that's extremely unpredictable?
Well, yeah, definitely the crypto market is still very volatile. And, if what you're looking for in some sort of speculative investment or even just to hold something is not volatility, then crypto is not the right place for you because it's still a very small market. We're actually seeing a lot of big whales coming in, and that's what probably caused this latest downturn, is they come in, they'll buy $100 million worth of Bitcoin off exchange, and then they'll go on to exchanges and sell calls, and they'll leverage the calls. So when it all crashes, when they start selling their Bitcoin, they actually make way more, and then they just buy it back. They've been doing this for a while. So Bitcoin's down about 10% today, which is, for Bitcoin, it's not a big deal. If the stock market was down 10%, that'd be a big deal. And that does happen every now and then. But in crypto, it's just not. Bitcoin started the year at 3,500. So it's still around 7,500 right now. So it's more than doubled this year already. So I expect very good things, actually, as this continues. And yeah, most people just don't even know how to get into these things. There's not many services out there. So we have the Dollar Vigilante, which is we've been doing for about 10 years. And we recommended Bitcoin at $3. We recommended Ethereum at $2. And numerous others like that. And just in the last 6 months, we started a new service called the Crypto Vigilante, which we only opened for 1 week in June. And then we cut it off. And a lot of people were kind of surprised. They didn't think we were going to do that, even though I said we were. And so we just reopened it this week. So if you're interested, you can just go to this page and check it out. We got a lot of great information on there on why we think things are going to happen. And if you agree with it and you want to get involved, you can sign up for it. So you just go to dollarvigilante.com/TCV-change, and you'll have the links, I'm sure, in the notes below. And check it out. There's a lot of good information just on that page if you just want to read through it.
Yeah, I remember watching your video on it, and you just getting hammered with the comment section. Be like, look at this sales pitch. He's going to sell it again. I know he's going to sell it again. No way he's going to totally close it off. And then he closed it off, and people were like, what? And then the few people I talked to that actually bought the services were really happy with it. If you bought the service and you're not happy with it, let me know. I would really love that. But there's a lot of opportunity with a lot of volatility. And to me, crypto really does provide a lot of those amazing opportunities that we hear Mark Zuckerberg talk about. But in reality, we have to understand that there's also a bigger danger here with centralization, with control. And we have to understand, we just have to go with the flow because, again, these times are extremely, extremely unpredictable. And just like the crypto market is dangerous, we have to understand the financial market, the US dollar market, is extremely turbulent and extremely dangerous as well when it comes to just putting in your hard work, your hard assets, everything that you worked so hard to accomplish into that kind of institution. So I'm going to leave Jeff here with the last words about everything.
Well, I would just say that probably the riskiest thing you could be doing right now is to have all of your assets, all of your money, just sitting in a bank account in a place like the US. The financial system is on the verge of collapse. We've been to Venezuela. We've seen what happens when it starts to collapse and it goes into hyperinflation. Banks close, the currency becomes worthless. These are all things that are going to be happening with the fiat currencies. So it's kind of funny that a lot of people might say, well, I don't know if I want to invest in crypto. They're pretty volatile. Well, get ready because the US dollar is going to be incredibly volatile and it could go to zero in the next few years.
Yeah. Sorry, we got a little perrito here joining us on this little walk and talk. But I want to thank Jeff Berwick. The link will be in the description below. Definitely check it out. If you're not in crypto, I definitely recommend putting in a little bit of money, especially money that you're willing to lose into crypto. It's definitely a worthwhile adventure for many individuals and something that is an alternative to the big financial institutions that have failed people throughout history. Hey, Barrow. Sorry, I like dogs. Hey, he wants to play. Okay, so let me flip this thing back around, and I want to specifically say thank you, all you amazing human beings, for watching and participating in this independent media adventure. We're going to go feed some dogs and hang out with them here in the Caribbean. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.